All right, we're going to call to order the Board of Adjustments meeting for Thursday, October 16th, 2025. Before we get started, I'm going to read the introduction. Board of Adjustments. The hearings before Board of Adjustments are quasi-judicial in nature. Decisions of the board are based on the record of these proceedings. To grant a variance requires a concurrent vote of 4/5 of the members of the board. To reverse or modify the determination of an administrative official requires a simple majority. Evidence submitted to the board for review becomes part of the record. Appeals of the board's decision are to Superior Court and are based on the record. Appeals must be filed within 30 days of the date of the filing of the board's order in the Planning Division. A hearing before the board is conducted in accordance with rules of procedure. Those who want to testify in a case are sworn as witnesses. The chairperson will recognize those wanting to testify or their attorneys for presentation of evidence during the hearing. To ensure that all testimony is properly recorded, please come forward to address the board, state your name, address, and speak clearly. Next time, we'll have everyone that's going to speak today be sworn in.
Yep. If you'll stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
All right. Our next item will be the approval of the minutes from the September 18th, 2025 meeting. If there is a motion for the way they are presented,
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the September 18th meeting.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Those are approved. Next item is old business. First item is 418 Wooster Street. It's an extension of a variance granted August 17th, 2023 to the parking and driveway location in the Urban Mixed Use District pursuant to City Code 18, Land Development Code, Section 18-340. And Catherine, are you presenting this one?
There's no real presentation. It's
Oh,
just
that's right. They're asking for
to extend a variance that was
Yeah.
previously granted. There have been no meaningful changes to the code since that variance was granted, and the circumstances are still largely the same as they were when the board was granted the original variance. The applicant's attorney, Mr. Nichols, is also present if you would like to hear from him.
Is there a specific time you need the variance extended to, or just what's appropriate? Or
It would be a 12-month extension.
okay.
Right. That being the case, does anyone would like to make a motion to extend
I'll make
the
a
variance?
motion that we extend the variance at 418 Wooster Street that was granted August 17th, 2023 by 12 months as requested.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
That being the case, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes. Thank you. Thank you. All right, our next item is going to be 1225 Great Oaks Drive, a variance to exceed the allowable encroachment within a conservation resource setback area and to facilitate the extension of a bulkhead and the placement of fill in the R20 Legacy District. This will be presented by Catherine. There you moved too quick for me. Wow.
Thank you. The case before you today is a request for a variance to conservation resource regulations to allow an encroachment into the required setback for approximately 490 cubic yards of fill to facilitate the extension of a retaining wall. The subject property is zoned R20 Legacy District and contains a 5,493 square foot single-family dwelling. The owner has proposed installing a retaining wall along the portion of the property abutting the Intercoastal Waterway, which is a designated conservation resource setback area, and then they would backfill the upland side of the proposed retaining wall with approximately 490 cubic feet of fill that would be kind of a variable height, but up to 6 feet in height. The conservation resource applicable to this site is a coastal wetland, which requires a 75-foot setback from the edge of the resource, and that's to protect the city's ecologically important estuarine systems, preserve open space, retain flood storage capacity, and promote water quality. City Code Chapter 18, Land Development Code, Section 18286, sets forth criteria by which encroachments into the conservation resource area may be permitted. Land Development Code Section 18286 allows improvements within the conservation resource setback area up to 25% of the total area of the resource setback on the lot. The proposed retaining wall, fire pit, and fill associated with the request, and that request does carve out a protection area for 2 protected trees, which you can see on the site plan, but that would exceed the allowable encroachment by approximately 8%. On or about June 2nd, 2025, the applicant submitted a request for a variance to allow an additional encroachment into that conservation resource setback area. This matter has been continued by the board several times to allow the applicant to provide additional information about the quantity of the fill and the exact locations. That information is now included in your packet, and it's on the screen in front of you. I'd like to submit the case summary and all attachments into the record, and the applicant's attorney, Amy Schaefer, is present to answer any questions you may have of the board. And just as a quick point of clarification, there are some typos in the case summary, specifically in reference to the very first point in the analysis and research just has the wrong address. So those corrections would be made in the findings of fact for the order.
Okay, all right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Catherine while she's up? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Amy Schaefer. As Ms. Thurston said, I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I do have a presentation. Also with me are John Wayne and Tony Parker, our surveyor and landscape designer, if you have any project-specific questions that I can't answer. So as you can see, this property was graded years before the Land Development Code when the subdivision was initially approved back in the early 80s. As Ms. Thurston said, she showed you where the area is. Just so you can see the steep drop-off of the property, there are concerns about erosion and the land that's there now falling into the marsh and creating a hazard. So the property owner has been working to remedy this situation with an extension of the retaining wall. Mr. Wayne has been speaking with stormwater to help mitigate that as required. And so as you can see, there's a back area of the roof that they're going to help mitigate any stormwater runoff. Mr. Wayne has also verified with Rob Gordon of Stormwater that the fire pit would be an impervious surface, except for the brick, obviously. And so with that, with the retaining wall, the fill is slightly over the allowed extension into the conservation area. So we are requesting a variance. And we've got the design of the wall. We have all of that information in your packet. So I would ask to enter our application into evidence as well as the presentation. I'm happy to answer any specific questions you all might have about the project.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Schaefer?
How does the adjacent properties, do they have retaining walls, or they have similar erosion issues, or?
I'm trying to see if I've got a good picture. So if you could see their lots are just not as steeply graded for some reason as this lot was. So I don't know that either of them have retaining walls, but let me verify with my experts. Hold on just a second. Yep, neither of them have retaining walls, but again, their lots just aren't as steeply graded.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
And forgive me, since I'm not familiar with the property, is the new, if I can put it that way, new retaining wall going to be approximately where this fence that we see in a couple of the photographs is, or is it going to be a little closer to the sound?
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, it's going to be a little closer to the house.
Oh, thus the dotted lines on this map that show the fence. So that's the fence that we see in the photos.
Yes, sir.
And so what will happen with, not that it's perhaps that important, but what will be going on then between the fence and the new
No.
retaining wall?
Probably just a little bit of landscaping,
Grass
if there,
and landscaping.
grass or whatever, if there
I
is,
see,
yeah.
I see. Right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, does the city have anything to add before we go in to the evidentiary?
Nothing further from city
All right.
staff.
All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and go into the evidentiary hearing. This is the time that anyone has anything pertinent or substantive to this matter. I'd ask that they come forward. All right. Seeing that we have none, we'll go ahead and close the evidentiary hearing. Is there anything else from the applicant? Okay. All right. And city, you're still good, Catherine? All right. All right. That being the case, we'll close that and see what your thoughts are.
I'm not necessarily in favor of a retaining wall anywhere, but I do think this may be taking a bad situation, making it better by arresting the erosion and potential further damage to the estuary.
Thank you. If I may, Chair, my only sort of concern is about the item, finding of fact number 4, substantial justice is achieved. I mean, it's great that it will probably help to protect the given property that is making this application, but to my colleague's question about, the neighbors and whether they have, or will have similar, shall we say, defenses, and that the lack thereof, I mean, what will happen, probably won't it, is that the water will flow, if it ever gets to that point, into the neighbors' yards or lawns. I understand about the grade, though, ma'am. So that's my sort of concern, that one property is being perhaps better protected, but water is going to flow where it wants, and that may result in the neighbors' property being somewhat put at risk. Does anybody have any information? Maybe it is a question. Any information about what the neighbor's position is, if any?
Did you all mention that there was stormwater management that was included in that?
Yes, thank you. The neighbors were notified, they have to be. And so part of what's requested for the variance is that we have to show that stormwater is being managed. Yes, sir. And so that is what Mr. John Wayne has been working with Rob Gordon of Stormwater to show that stormwater has been managed. So in addition to looking at what's already there, they've added additional mitigation from other parts of the property, such as the back roof that we showed with the additional drainage to help protect those adjacent properties so that all water, will stay on the property.
Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you. I'm sorry I wasn't clear enough.
No, that's fine. And do you want Mr. Wayne to talk? Because I can open the evidentiary up if you want his information on the record. We have, since you represent, yours is on the record, but I can reopen it if you want me to.
Sure. If you'd like to hear from him to explain in a little bit more detail how that works, I certainly can't do that. Mr. Wayne, do you mind?
Okay, let me go ahead and I'm going to reopen the public hearing.
Yeah, John Wayne, Hanover Design. Yeah, we've worked with Rob, and Rob's actually approved this plan. So basically, all the water that's going to be running off of the structure in this lot is going to be contained. In the backyard of this structure, the portion that's encroaching, all the impervious that's encroaching, and then additional, we're treating with some underground stormwater treatment. So it's fairly straightforward system that works great, because there's going to be a lot of infiltration with all this new fill that's placed on the property.
Since we're in the public, you can ask questions of this person. Does anyone have questions of Mr. Wayne?
I'm just gonna say, I mean, the variance request is a variance of 8% of what's allowed, so it's not, in my mind, not a significant request, and I do think it makes a bad situation a little better.
Okay. Anybody, any questions for Mr. Wayne? All right. Does the city have any questions for Mr. Wayne? All right, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying.
Since the public hearing, evidentiary hearing was reopened, is there anything else anyone wants to speak? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the evidentiary hearing, and we'll go back. Does the city have anything else? Ms. Schaefer? Okay, all right, great. It's back to us again. Does anybody have thoughts or motions related to this?
No, I agree with Patrick. 8% is not a huge significant amount. I think it will, vastly improve the situation that they have out back. And I do feel like this meets all 4 findings of fact, and for that, I'm going to move to approve this request as presented.
There's been a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. it's
A
been-
second, okay.
All right. All right, that being the case, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 3. 420 North 3rd Street, variance to City Code Section 18-42C, dimensional standards, and 18-4C, design standards to allow a shipping container to remain as built in the Central Business District. Grace. Thank
Good
you.
afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm Grace LeMay, Zoning Planner 1 for the City of Wilmington. The subject property at 420 North 3rd Street is zoned Central Business District and contains a nightclub with an outdoor seating area. According to Google imagery and staff observation, the applicant placed a shipping container on the property in 2022, located approximately 45 feet and 7 inches from the front property along North 3rd Street. Based on applicant testimony, the shipping container is intended for use as an outdoor bar and storage space. According to county records, no building or electrical permits were obtained for the new construction on the property, nor did the city's technical review committee review or approve the applicant's proposal. The Land Development Code does not consider secondary buildings on commercially zoned properties to be accessory structures, so they are held to the dimensional standards and setback requirements for the district in which it's located. Land Development Code Section 1843 allows a maximum front setback of 5 feet. The applicant has requested a variance to this section to allow the container to remain as placed, which would require a variance of 40 feet and 7 inches. The applicant states that moving the container to meet the setback requirement would necessitate trimming several of the trees around the property and eliminate several existing parking spaces on the lot. The Land Development Code does not set a baseline parking requirement for properties within the Central Business District, however. Land Development Code Section 1843 requires a minimum ground floor height of 13 feet, and the applicant has requested a variance to this section to allow the container to remain as built at 8 feet tall. The applicant states that increasing the height of the structure to meet this standard would require the removal of 2 existing trees if left at its current location. Section 1844 from the code requires that street-level facades facing a public street, riverwalk, or sidewalk shall have fenestration for a minimum of 50% of the facade area. The applicant states that the facade of the container facing North 3rd Street has doors, which complicates the installation of fenestration. However, this requirement has been met for other properties within the city. Land Development Code Section 1844 prohibits metal as the primary building material, and the applicant has requested a variance to this provision to allow the container to remain with full metal facades. This matter was continued from the September 18th meeting to the October 16th, 2025 meeting to allow the applicant to work with staff towards a revised proposal. And as of this date of the publication of the case summary, no revised plans have been submitted. I'd like to submit the staff report and all attachments into the record. I'm available for questions, and the owner and applicant are here as well with the presentation.
Does anyone have any questions of Grace? All right, thank you. The owner or the applicant like to present?
Chairman, members of the board, good afternoon. My name is Joseph Epkarian, 420 North 3rd Street, Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm the owner of the Eagles Dare. I'm joined by Rob Romero from Romero Architecture, Zach Nathans from Chowtown, as well as Mr. Ben Shaw, which is one of my business partners. Chairman, you weren't here last month. I do have last month's PowerPoint presentation. If you've not seen it, if you like it, I have it here if you'd like it.
I was able to review it.
Wonderful, great, sir. So we have not only the presentation today, as well as email chatter, an email chain between what started with Mr. Tucker here and myself, and then included Catherine, just kind of over the past month where we've been, what we've been doing. So with that, moving forward, gentlemen. So last month, we went through everything, why each variance, and where we got to was from the members of the board was to go look and specifically look at that course of action of potentially moving this, the shipping container into that side beer garden area. So I will address that. I will also address from the meeting that members of zoning, the zoning office had up at Eagles Dare, we discussed multiple other courses of action. And kind of, I'll hit those real quick and then kind of go with where I think currently we're at and what I'm respectfully requesting from you gentlemen, all right? So from when we had that meeting, one of the things that was discussed was a potentially conditional rezoning. The next was movement by a general contractor into that side beer garden. Third was putting it on wheels and no longer having it be a shipping container but a trailered unit. The additional is updating city code and the LDC and doing a text amendment to address shipping container architecture that's currently already happening in this city, from South Front, Cargo District, Chowtown to us. It's currently happening, and recommending that. And then also remove completely, and then not only remove completely, but also follow on options for us to be able to use some space. So with that said, gentlemen, the main thing that came up from reviewing of the development code was LDC 18 Tech 198. And that, again, talks about the city manager having the ability to evaluate applications for accessory uses that are not identified. As was just briefed, they don't consider this an accessory use. Again, this code that is being enforced upon this, whether it's Chowtown or us, is new building code and not recognizing this as a shipping container, being used for things other than simply just storage. And so in this, I thought this was extremely interesting, and it's what I've done with the email traffic that you have a copy of, where I'm like, hey, this is potentially something that the city manager can be presented with and can take this on a case-by-case basis and say, hey, and show that we as a small business owner, as the entrepreneur, are working with the city, like, hey, let's make something happen here. And then recognize that we would still need variances, even with the city manager approval, but under the lens of having it blessed off by city manager, I think that would have a different, view when coming again in front of you gentlemen for those variances, having known that it's already gone up and back down. So that's the section code there, and that's what at the end I'll brief. That's what I'm requesting. So the code states the city manager can review. And as I just stated, it also states that very clearly, and much of everything that's been happening here is very strict adherence to the code. Strict adherence. And so, in the email exchange that we've had, Catherine messaged and said that, that actually it's her as the zoning administrator. That's not what the city code, that's not what the code says. The code says city manager. And so I would submit that is with whom should make that call. And again, I believe this is an absolute potential solution to show that we're working with the city, making something happen, all under the guise of recognizing that there is a change in architectural work that is happening across the country, but also specifically here in Wilmington. Conditional rezoning, I looked into it. It's not really a viable option. It's potentially opening up an additional case of worms, so to speak, and it's just a lot, but again, it was brought up. It's something we could look into, but from my research into it, speaking with some real estate individuals, some contractors, was like, yeah, I don't think you really want to do that. So got it. Moving the shipping container. We had Urban Building Corp come out and give us a estimated quote on that, and it was, ballpark starting $15,000. And again, I know monetarily it's not supposed to, but for me telling you from the business side, that's a non-viable option. As well as we did take a hard look at moving the container back there. We would fully lose the ability of it being a secondary bar. Like, no one's going to go out the front beer garden and then go to the back corner of that side beer garden to go get it. It just doesn't work. But we did look at it. We looked at not only moving it back there, but then connecting it to the existing building, because that would then take care of some of the other variance requirements. So I mean, we definitely peeled the onion on it. And end of the day, even with the meeting that we had with some of the zoning individuals, they were like, yeah, that's probably not going to be a good solution for anyone, and it would still require additional variances. Next one, the trailer. So as you can see, here's a visual representation of turning a shipping container into a trailered item. You know, if we go down the road of getting backed into a corner in terms of like, we don't have an option, turning the shipping container into a trailered item and no longer being a shipping container, now we start playing with verbiage, and now we start playing, really, lack of a better term, now we're starting to play games. I don't want to do that, but I also have to make sure that I have the ability to do my business and do my job and provide a secondary bar, as well as have some room for some storage items. So this is obviously not something that a road I want to go down. I don't want to put wheels on it, turn it into a trailer, move it like once a month and put it back into place. I would rather come to a solution, and that's where the city manager piece comes in. And then, you know, follow to that is conjunction with that is the text amendment. Gentlemen, I think it's very clear that we have a change in architectural style that is happening in the country, in the state, and in the city. As we've seen as the escalation, what it first really started with South Front, right? And then in Cargo District. And I get that there's different zoning codes and everything like that, but again, it's shipping container architecture. And there isn't any in our LDC, and there needs to be. And instead of small business owners and entrepreneurs suffering because we're not updating the living document that is a code like this, you know, then we're the ones that are going to bear the brunt of it and have to adhere to code that is really designed for new construction build. And then finally, removing the shipping. So everything happens with this meeting. If it does get referred to city manager, whatever, say end of the day, it's done. It's got to go. Roger. In the email exchange was, okay, can I put in just a couple storage bins over on that side beer garden so I can, you know, put some stuff in there that is otherwise in that shipping container? To which I was informed, no, that those, and I provided a picture example. There's a like 3x5 Rubbermaid at Sam's Club. They're like, hey, can I put like 2 or 3 of those there? And, you know, I guess we'll make it happen. To which I was responding, no, you can't do that because that would fall under the exact same guidelines, code that we're talking about with the shipping container. And as a visual representation, that's what I'm talking about. On the left is at Sam's Club, and on the right is its current use already in the central business district. So that right there, I'm being told, would adhere to the same code as the shipping container or as a new building. Again, I think it's clearly identified that we need to update the code on this specific matter, respectfully. Finally, I have a couple pictures of showing what this building was. We've been awarded for the rehab of that space, adaptive reuse. That's currently, the bottom is, we're all decked out for Halloween. And there you see the shipping container nestled right in there in the corner. Bottom line is moving that back, moving it 5 feet off of 3rd Street, moving it is not the right answer. And I'm not here to fight, I'm here to work with the city. And I think I've shown that through scheduling meetings and emails. And I know that the variances, I know point 3 is a catch-all for something like this. Did you put the shipping container there? We did. But also we believe we were doing the right things for the right reasons. And from my understanding as the business owner, I thought this was all on track with everyone. Everyone was tracking on that from the planning process to the approval, from my understanding. So, you know, that is again visual from when we went in and, you know, completely rehabbed that entire building to what you see now. And that shipping container is a absolute necessity, priority aspect of the Eagles Dare and its operation. And its location is where it's tucked away, out of sight, out of mind. And again, I think it shows that this is not covered in LDC, and we have the ability already written there that the city manager can step in and identify that this is something outside that's not been covered and can do a case-by-case approval. So in conclusion, gentlemen, I appreciate it. I would also speak that I was in consultation with Councilman Waddell this morning. He is in full support of this conclusion, and that is to ask respectfully the Board of Adjustment to refer this to the city manager to take on as a case-by-case approval for this shipping container. And then from there, coming back to you gentlemen and with whatever variances, applying for those variances again. I would also submit that I think it needs to be logged that the code needs to be updated. And to that end, I'm here to work with city, I'm here to work, I will gladly be a part of any advisory council or meeting, as will some of the other gentlemen dealing with that. I'll bring the coffee. But I really think that we have small business owners really trying to do some great things in this town. And instead of working together, we're just simply being told no and not recognizing that this is kind of outside the lateral limits, and we need to figure out how to get it inside the lateral limits. So with that, gentlemen, open up to questions, and I thank you for your time.
Okay. Questions for the applicant, or I guess just to sort of, basically, we really aren't going to move forward on any of the variances because the goal is to go back.
Yes, sir. I would ask.
Look at how it's handled through the land development code.
Well, yes, sir. I would ask for it to get referred to the city manager office to address it on a case-by-case basis. I don't particularly know how that avenue works. Again, Councilman Waddell said, hey, call me as soon as this meeting's done, and if that's approved, we will set the meeting with city manager and go forward from there and have zoning representation and again, go that avenue. Hopefully then get it, whether it's approved or denied or whatever, then come back to you gentlemen with whatever those variances are and pretty much do the final act of whether those variances get approved or not.
Okay, yeah, so I think before we do any questions, we probably should talk about our role. I don't think we actually have the authority to send it to the city manager. So I think we have to procedurally, I have to defer to our attorney on, we can send some things back to the HPC, we can do things like that, but sending
Yes,
it
sir.
to the city
It was with-
manager.
if that
So I
were-
want to see procedurally what we need to do,
Yes,
because
sir.
maybe we continue yours.
Continue it, then I take.
But we
over
only
the next
have a
month.
certain amount of time you can continue a variance for us. I just want to make sure your rights are protected.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, I would agree with you. There's a limit on the authority that you have. That's to hear variances and other requests. The code defines city manager to include a designee, which in this case is in planning. So I don't know that referral is the answer there. As far as text amendments go, there's a process for that. The applicant can file a request for a text amendment, can work with staff to that end. That process goes to the Planning Commission and then could ultimately make its way to council.
So in essence, we could continue this so that the applicant and the city could talk if you were going to go the track of doing a text amendment. And how long can you continue a variance? I thought we were limited how long a variance could be continued.
I'd have to double check your rules on that.
I could be wrong, but I think we can continue a variance without an additional hearing to 90 days or three meetings, but I could be, I was going to defer to y'all.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Some review of the rules would be required.
Okay.
There are actually some proposed revisions that are being circulated at this point. But I don't think historically there's been a limit on the number of continuances. Correct me if I'm wrong, this item's been continued once?
Yeah,
the last meeting?
Yeah, it's just, I was more going the route that how long out you can put. Like, we can continue every month for a number of times, in which we could be the process we take. I was just trying to being practical. You're not going to get anything done in 30 days, but just knowing,
I really enjoy putting together a PowerPoint and coming and seeing you guys every 30 days.
Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to. But I'm just trying to see if the applicant didn't have a problem with it and the city didn't have a problem with maybe continuing this to our December meeting. And you can, and this is another, like, I mean, your you're operating, you're still operating
Yes, sir.
that, and it's, like I said, the city's position is in non-compliance, so like where do we sit on that? Can someone in the city address how that is gonna?
Yes, they've been operating out of compliance, obviously, since the container was placed, and we've been working with them, this entire time. We've stayed enforcement while they're pursuing variances, and if they decide to pursue a text amendment instead, we'll stay enforcement during that time as well.
Okay, so they continue, it's under, okay, so if we continue, I didn't want to delay you coming back because of that, because if you had to shut down. So if that's the case, I don't want to, is there other questions people have, or?
Mr. Satterfield, did you say there was a text amendment addressing this floating around now?
No, sir. I was talking about rules of procedure.
I got you, okay.
Excuse me, just to make sure I understood, so the issue is that the enforcement of the, of the code violation would be stayed, so long as we've got a continuance going on for whatever reason, be it attempts at changing the code or so forth. Is that right? Did I understand that properly?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir, that's my understanding. So if that being the case, does it make sense just continuing to December? Is that enough time for y'all to?
The next deadline to submit for an applicant-initiated text amendment would be the first Monday in January.
Okay.
And so that would not go to Planning Commission until April.
All right.
So the soonest it could get in front of City Council for an actual change to the code would be May.
So,
Can we extend as far as May?
In the past, we have allowed cases to be extended out further. As Mr. Satterfield said, we are requesting that the City Council review the Board of Adjustment Rules of Procedure, and that would potentially place a limitation on the number of continuances. And in that instance, I believe that if you've stayed or continued the item out to a date certain, that would very likely still stand, but I'm happy to be corrected on that point.
or it could be, it's extra work for everybody. It could be that since you can have filed a text amendment in January, correct?
Yes, sir.
And would that be filed before our January meeting? Let's see.
It would be.
So
Well,
how about continuing,
Would we not want it to go to city council first?
well, part of my thing about the continuance and the operation is that and not saying you're not going to do it, but just so we're consistent, is that we have the continuance that day, and then it could be continued automatically if you've filed the documents. If you decide, I don't want to mess with this, then your world could change, I know you will, but it's a way of us procedurally going to continuing this to January, and then having the decision if we continue again. And that's just my thought. Yeah, I'm open. I'm just putting it out there.
Well, sir, I think if we continue it to January, at that point, I'd be able to brief you. You probably would already have seen it or whatnot and everything, but we'd be able to brief, hey, well, this is what the text amendment that was been submitted. I can tell you what, if this is the decision of the board, from here would be obviously working with the zoning office, but then also bringing in all these other individuals that are currently dealing with, not everyone has their own different niche issues, but everyone that's associated with dealing with shipping container, architecture and use, and really putting together our own group to put forward this text amendment in conjunction with the city.
Thoughts or questions? Yes, sir.
If I may, and I don't want to steal my colleague's thunder, but last time, indeed, one of my colleagues proposed a potential solution. I know it's not something that the applicant favors, but forgive me, I'm not sure I fully understand. At the time, it seemed like a perfectly plausible thing. You move the container back, perhaps affix some sort of cover to attach it to the building. I don't know, Patrick, did you want to follow up on that concept and why this now seems to be not feasible? I wasn't sure I understood.
I mean, I can't speak for the applicant. I mean, it looks like they may have considered alternatives and rejected them. So, that puts us kind of where we are now.
So could you please
Yes, sir.
get into that a little bit further? Like why, in addition to the cost, right?
Right,
But-
throw that out the window. As you see that picture to my left, behind there, there is, just like the beer garden, there is a fencing that segregates that back area. So that would have to be removed. We then also, having talked with the GC, the idea and plan of how to move it back there was also potentially a significant emotional event that we would be facing. And then moving it back there, and then in terms of hospitality and bar operations, sir, moving that back there and trying to funnel people that are waiting or the lines backing up at the main bar, anything, or there's a concert of music happening in the front garden, the ability to move people back there and be like, hey, the bar in the back left corner or back right corner of the place is open. Again, that was in consultation with, again, my business partners as well as my managers that are the frontline bartenders, and they're like, and again, they were frank with me, and they're like, you want to move, this is an option, you want to move it back there, no one's going to go there. No patron. Just think, you gentlemen, like you're at a show or something like that, and the line's long, like where's the other bar? Going back there, it as we walked the ground and looked at it, it just was not something that was going to be valid. The other issue also is we want to be within 5 feet of the setback, right? At this point, we'd be looking at the back, and I don't know if that's allowed or not, but if we went to the entire far back corner, the other side of the shipping container is where the doors are. So really, we would probably have to flip it around, and so the doors are facing 3rd Street, and then now we're talking about completely recutting basically a new service window. So we would have the new service window, the windows that are currently there now on the back side, with the shipping container doors now facing 3rd Street, which is what has been briefed, although incorrect. So for all of these reasons, as we were discussing this over the past month, it was like, yeah, it really isn't a viable option. And then we get into how are we going to connect it from the back? Because so you see the angle of the structure in the front of the building. Behind it is just this kind of a square rectangular structure, and you can see just a bit of it in that picture. That's what we would connect it to. And so then we start getting into drainage matters and runoff and how we would connect to that. And again, we get into outside my purview in terms of speaking with the general contractor and everything like that. But again, he was like, you're looking at a significant project here to do this. And so to that end, sir, that's over the course of the month, we did do due diligence in looking at that course of action, and we ultimately made the decision that it was not viable.
I agree. I think the cleanest way forward is a potential text amendment.
The reason I think that it's worth us continuing it to January for them to try to work for the text amendment is sort of using the example of how many hearings we've already had for the sign size of drive-throughs, like things that we should be addressing versus constantly doing variance. So the goal of the variances be a very rare, but with the fact that containers are all over the area, it's not our purview, it's not anything in our authority, but I think it is worth doing the continuance to have that looked into. But like I said, it's your application, so one, you have to agree to it.
Yes, sir.
But then the rest is, I'm just one of 5.
Yeah, I second that opinion. Unfortunately, and I'm sure you know how this works, as a quasi-judicial board, we just have to abide by these 4 findings of fact. So whether or not this is a really compelling argument and it's a great presentation, if we can't find that it fits all 4 of these, we can't approve it. Now, again, personal opinions aside, in particular, I think the 3rd finding of fact being that the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner is just the biggest hurdle here. Now, I completely understand the reasons why some of the proposals that you suggested are not feasible, whether financially or just doesn't make sense for the business, but that is the hardest one, at least for me. I can't speak for the other board members. That is the one that's just sort of holding me back. But again, it feels like if there's a way through this, like you said, that's paving the way for other applicants down the line through a text amendment. That seems like it's the best course of action for you and the city to sort of work this out.
Yes, sir. Yes, and this won't be the first text amendment that myself and others have spearheaded. We've worked with zoning before on other matters that have resulted in a text amendment update. It was the temporary stage usage. So we have some experience on that. So hopefully, with your blessing to extend to January, we'll get rolling on that and bring all the players in and get rolling.
What's the date of our January meeting?
Should be January 15th.
January 15th.
So the applicant has requested a continuance to January 15th. That would have to come as a motion from one of y'all.
I'd like to propose a motion that we continue item 3, 420 North 3rd Street, to the January 15 Board of Adjustment meeting to allow time for a potential text amendment to get in process.
Second.
All right, that being first and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Did that continue? We will see you in January.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to new business. The next item is 507, 509, 515, 519, 525, and 529 South Kerr Avenue. A variance to tree preservation standards for the removal of specimen trees located within the MD 17 zoning district as per City Code Chapter 18, Section 18-316. Tucker, you're doing this one?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. The subject properties at 507, 509, 515, 519, 525, and 529 South Kerr Avenue are located in the MD 17 CD, which is a high-density, multiple-dwelling residential conditional zoning district. According to New Hanover County tax records, the subject property contains approximately 6.6 acres. The property was rezoned from R10 to MD 17 on September 9th, 2024. The applicant has proposed a 100% affordable housing project totaling 104 units with supporting amenities. Pursuant to City Code Section 18316B, regulated, significant, and specimen trees shall be considered protected trees. Protected trees existing on a site prior to development or redevelopment that meet the size threshold prescribed in Table 18316.1, protected tree species, which is in your packet, shall be retained on a development or redevelopment site. Here we have the aerial and zoning map and a site plan of the subject property. To the north of the clubhouse, there's also another building for residential units. Removal of specimen trees shall only be authorized by variance from the Board of Adjustment. The applicant has identified 7 specimen trees on the subject site, one that is in poor condition with a significant lean and a compromised root system. On August 29th, 2025, planning staff accepted the application for a variance for the removal of 1 specimen tree, and this matter is set for hearing before the Board of Adjustment today, October 16th, 2025. There are pictures of the trees here. And I'm available for questions, and I believe the applicant is here with a presentation as well.
Does anyone have questions for Tucker?
Yes, forgive me, maybe it was my momentary inattention. How many trees are we talking about? You just mentioned 1.
Oh, sorry, there's 7 specimen trees on the site. Only
Right.
1 is being proposed to be removed.
Oh, I
due to
see,
its
of the
condition.
7.
Yes,
I
sir.
heard the 7, but thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, appreciate it. All right, we'll ask for the applicant or the agent for the applicant.
Good afternoon again. My name's Amy Schaefer. I'm here on behalf of the property owner and the applicant. I would ask that our presentation and our application be submitted into evidence. We do have 2 full arborist reports in the application. With me today, I have our arborist from Davie if there are any specific questions, as well as our civil engineer. I want to thank Mr. Tucker. He went over the property location and history, so I don't really need to go over all of that, but it's here if you have any questions. I wanted to show you on site, again, The development has taken extreme caution and consideration with the trees. As Mr. Tucker said, there are 7 significant trees on site, and 6 of the 7 are either going to be kept in place or relocated on site. The one that we're asking to be able to remove is the 31-inch live oak tree down in the bottom right-hand corner of the site plan, as you can see. And again, this is just a picture of the site as is on location. Based on both tree reports that were done by certified arborists, the specimen tree is in poor condition. It has internal decay, lean, damaged roots, and there's a risk of structural failure and, of course, public safety concerns due to that. Any grading on the site will stress the tree further, and moderate to even severe dieback is expected, so relocation is not feasible due to the condition of the tree. So with that, the arborists recommend complete removal. We did kind of want to show you the lean and the exposed roots that are already there. There's kind of a man-made ditch, pond, pool area on the site that was there before we ever purchased it, which is in this area. And so that's part of what's going to be the stormwater system as well. So there will need to be clearing and grading of that site. Some additional pictures, and here you can see that ditch that's already on the property. For the Board of Adjustment variance request, again, unnecessary hardship would result from strict application. The tree is already decayed with weak roots. Preserving it will block the required stormwater system. I'm sorry, there's a typo on here. 6 preserved trees. 6 trees preserved and a tree relocated. There's not a typo, I just read it wrong. And forcing preservation of the tree really creates a hardship with no real benefit to the tree because it's likely to die soon anyway. The property contains, again, as I mentioned, the man-made pond. The live oak is on a steep bank with trunk decay and lean. There's a unique topography to this site, again, that's unique to this property. The hardship didn't result from any from any actions by the applicant. The site conditions were there when they purchased the property. And again, we do think this is within the spirit and purpose and intent of the ordinance as they are preserving and relocating all of the other specimen trees on site. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, as I said, the arborist and our civil engineer are here as well.
Does anyone have any questions?
Well, I actually have one for the city, and I'd love to talk afterwards with the arborist about the moving the bald cypress. I'm just curious how that would work, but that sounds fascinating. But for the city, is there any sort of quid pro quo, I guess is the word term I'm looking for? If you remove a specimen tree, does a given developer have to put in 1 or more trees to replace it on a property, or there's no such trade-off? Thank you. Just in general.
I would defer to Catherine on this for tree mitigation.
It would be subject to mitigation requirements.
Such as, if I may ask?
I have not done the calculations on
Okay.
that, but if you give me a couple minutes, I can do that.
Just for my own edification. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, any other questions before we go in? All right, we're going to go ahead and go into the evidentiary hearing for this part. Is there anyone that would like to present any additional information that's of substance or relevant to this matter? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the evidentiary hearing. Does the city have any additional information to present, Tucker?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Schaefer, do you have anything else you'd like to present?
Mr. Nichols just asked me to clarify that he's a landscape architect and not a civil engineer, even though he's with Paramount Engineering. So I think he didn't want to get into any, questions about the stormwater pond specifically.
I got you, thank you. And, all right, you have your question about the mitigation, but it's not relevant to the, it's relevant, but it's not relevant.
It's relevant, but it's not required for my
decision.
decision.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
yes. Being that we've had both parties, we'll go ahead and put it to us, what the decision is. Yeah. Catherine, did you want to add?
I'll just state that the mitigation looks like it would be $10,850. There are some discussions based on the type of project about how much of that the developer would be responsible for, but generally for a 31-inch specimen tree, that is the mitigation cost.
Thank you. That was quick. All right, so it's to everyone on, if anyone has questions, want to discuss, or if anyone has a motion.
Well, I mean, we've got two arborist reports, and they both agree that that tree is damaged currently, not likely to survive if it's moved, and the recommendation by the arborist is for its removal, and I just, I would defer to the arborist.
I agree, he's the professional, not us.
If you're ready, Chair, I would move to approve the variance.
Sure, all right. There's been a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? It passes unanimously. All right, we'll move on to item number 5.
Chairman, I need to swear the people that came in a
Oh,
little
okay,
bit
yes.
late.
If you haven't been sworn in already, will you please rise so you can be sworn in?
And raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for catching that, Casey. All right, we'll go on to number 5. Item is for 4118 Market Street, a variance to the City Code Section 18-28-2, subsection 2, density and open space requirements in the RB district. Catherine, you move really quick from over there.
Thank you, Chairman. Move this table. The subject property is approximately 1.26 acres, and it's zoned regional business. It currently contains a 76-room hotel use. You can see that the surrounding zoning is also commercial. You have office and institutional across Market Street to the north and commercial services to the west. The applicant has proposed to rezone the subject property to multi-dwelling 17 conditional district for a 76-unit workforce housing development. The applicant has not proposed any expansions or significant modifications to the site. The City of Wilmington Land Development Code Section 1828 requires a minimum of 20% of the total lot area be dedicated as open space in the MD17 district. The City of Wilmington Land Development Code table outlined in 1828 also limits the density in the MD17 district to 17 units per acre, with an allowable increase to 36 units per acre if at least 10% of the total number of residential units are designated as workforce housing for a period of at least 15 years. Based on the site area, the project is required to provide a minimum of, let me get back to that slide. It's required to provide a minimum of 10,960 square feet of open space and is limited to a maximum density of 45 units. The applicant has proposed to provide 2,836 square feet of open space, which is about 5.17% of the project area, and to have a total density of 76 units per acre. I'm sorry, a total density of 76 units, which would be 45 units per acre. On September 9th, 2025, the applicant submitted a request for a variance to reduce the minimum open space requirement and to exceed the maximum density allowable for the MD17 district. Land Development Code Section 18507 sets forth procedures for relief from the open space requirements through approval from the Design Adjustment Committee. However, the applicant has not sought such relief. This matter is set for hearing before the Board of Adjustment on October 16th, 2025. I'd like to enter the case summary and all attachments into the record. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, and the applicant is also present to present.
Catherine, does the 45 units per acre, the subject meets that criteria, is that right?
They are proposing to I'm sorry, do they currently meet?
Well,
That's what they're proposing,
It
is
says we're going to have
45
a total
units
of
per acre.
76 units, which would be the 45 units per acre, so it does meet that criteria. That
Oh,
one
I'm
of them?
sorry, their allowable units per acre would be 36 if they designate 10% as workforce housing.
Okay.
So they would be over by approximately 30, if I'm, 31, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so the
I
variance.
should have put a table in here.
Sorry.
So the variance of the density would be for 9 units per acre.
So they're allowed 36 units per acre.
Okay.
They're requesting to have 45 units per acre.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I heard 76 at some point.
It would be, well, they have 1.26 acres, so that would be a total of 76 units.
I see. Right. Okay.
So the request.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Yeah, so you have the two variances. One is for the open space and one is for the unit density, for just so everyone's on the same page on that.
If I may, Chair, speaking about the open space, so did I hear you correctly that they had not yet availed themselves of the possibility of seeking a variance with respect to the open space? I thought you said they had not yet submitted.
That is correct. The Land Development Code contemplates instances where a particular property may not be able to provide required open space. And so the applicant has the opportunity to go to the Design Adjustment Committee to request a waiver from the open space requirements. And there's certain criteria that has to be met, including adequate park space in the vicinity, and they have to pay a fee in lieu of the open space requirements. And that fee in lieu goes towards the provision of additional open space or parks within the area.
So, forgive me, are we are we able then to address the second issue of open space if they've not yet made that application?
It's staff's position that the applicant should pursue the request through the Design Adjustment Committee rather than the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's why I wanted to make it really clear where, because they've asked for two variances, and we'll let the applicant sort of tell us why they're going that route. That's for the best. But I wanted it clear that we have two variants to consider on this. All right.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions of Catherine? All right. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
All right. We are going to go ahead and see, would the applicant's representative like to come up and present?
Afternoon, gentlemen. Nicholas Silvanch. I'm representing the owners of the property, and this is Jake Modesto. He's our engineer on the property.
And just for the record, we just need a legal address also.
Oh, legal, 4922 Randall Parkway, Suite D, Wilmington 28403.
Right.
Thank you, Jeff. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so what we're looking to do is the adaptive reuse of this hotel. It was built in the 1980s. There have really been no structural changes to this property over time. The area has, as you're aware, on Market Street grown up. And as it's grown up, we've had commercial uses come in all around us. This is one of the hotels that is under a consent order with the city as it relates to its operations. In talking with the owners, we looked at several different things, and how they should go about doing it. And they also feel that with the changes at 4902 Market, which is now Vivo Wilmington, or the Flats, which is another studio apartment complex that was a hotel conversion, similar with River City Studio Suites, hotel conversion done, that a hotel conversion here to provide some affordable housing that's naturally occurring would be the best route. So in reviewing that with staff, we've come to some of the conclusions that we feel that this would work well here. It's close to area services, it's close to everything that's provided. So with the hardships that we have on the site, being that we are 1.26 acres, we are 76 units. All of the units have kitchenettes in them. All of the units have little workspaces, desks, living space, bed area. That the conversion to studio apartments is simply the difference between being a hospitality use to being a multifamily use. And working with staff, we added back, as you could see, do I have the ability to move it? There we go. We added back in the front some green space, as well as in the rear of the project. We've added in some additional green space where we could. Most of our residents, as we've seen from some of the other complexes that are now studio apartments, we're not going to need all of the parking spots, so we were able to cull some in the back to expand on the open space, but we're limited within what the acreage is of 1.26. We don't want to demolish any of the buildings. We don't want to change anything with the structure, so that's why we're requesting that variance to 45 units an acre. It's only 9 units more than the 36. We are happy to agree to the 10% set aside for the 15 years at the HUD high home rents. But that would put us, at the 76 units on 1.26 acres, being over by 9 units per acre to get there. And again, like we said, we don't want to change any of the buildings or demolish anything. We just want to be able to provide some affordable housing immediately in the area on Market Street where it seems these conversions have been approved in the past. So we do have, you know, affordable rental crisis in our community. This change of use is going to help impact the area because as we've seen at the other projects, there's been a reduce in life safety calls to the police station, fire department, EMS. Some of the human trafficking issues have gone away, the drug use issues have gone away, because when you convert it, you now have residents that are there long-term and they want to have pride in where they live. As it relates to the more technical stuff on the engineering, I'll let Jake speak to that, but you know, we've got to the right of us fast food, we've got to the left of us enterprise, and back behind us is an office park. So we don't really have the area to pick up any additional open space to expand upon except for what we have here at the site. And then obviously our density, we're not changing the site, we're not adding to it, we're asking for, hey, this is what the current conditions are. We already have transient residents, we just want to have long-term residents instead. So Jake, is there anything you want to add in on the technical stuff for the open space? No? Okay. I guess that's it.
Is there a reason that you didn't approach Design Adjustment Committee for a waiver on the open space?
When we talked with staff, we were given several different options, and we thought that coming before y'all was the best option to take.
Can you expand why?
It just seemed that it would be one of the easier routes through the process. We were also, you know, there was a large payment in lieu number that we were looking at calculating, and it would take the rents for these apartments out of the range of affordability for the future residents when we were looking at the pro forma and how this project would work.
All right. Any other questions of the applicant at this time? And it's currently now 76
Correct.
rooms, correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a 76-unit motel.
All right, that's what, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're sort of unit-wise, it's just a different use.
Correct. It's literally, we're going to turn the lights off today as a hotel. Tomorrow, we're going to flip them on. We're an apartment complex accepting 12-month rentals instead of, you know, daily or monthly rentals.
Okay. All right.
And if I heard correctly, you're actually going to use some of what's now the parking area to actually insert a bit of greenery.
Correct. If show you on the front of the building here. All right, so the area that is currently like a U-turn in the front of the building, if you came in up off Market, you turned in, you could do a right in, then do a right out. That area is going to go away and be backfilled with grass and some picnic benches, something like that, a little open space in the front. And now you'll have to do the full U around the property in order to hit the other exit.
Right, and there's more in the back, I think you showed.
Correct. There's in the back left corner, right now, there's like 2 grill stations. We're gonna get rid of one of the parking spots and add in some more area to have in the back.
Well, I'm sure residents would appreciate more trees and greenery and
Yeah.
so forth, so, thank you for clarifying.
No worries.
All right. Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead. Does the city have anything to add before I go?
Yes, sir. I'd like to correct the math here. I apologize. They would be at a density of 60 units per acre under their proposal. I had stated 45 because that's the number of units that would be allowed with the affordability provision.
So the variance request is for how many units per acre?
60 units per acre. So they would be allowed 45 units per acre
So
if
it's
they avail
15
themselves
so
of the
it's 15 units
workforce.
per acre. And he had mentioned a fee for the Design Adjustment Committee to seek relief on the open space. What is the fee typically to request the?
It's based on market conditions, and so the applicant would inventory the land values of the surrounding area and take that to the Design Adjustment Committee for approval. But it's site-specific.
Okay.
Anything else before we go in the evidentiary? Yes, sir?
If I could just mention the question on the mitigation payment calculation, if it goes to DAC, there are criteria that are set forth in the Land Development Code. One of those that has been used in the past is tax valuations or other market data provided by the applicant. So there is a formula there if they went that route.
Is any consideration given to workforce housing?
Not that I'm aware of
Okay.
directly in that.
All right, okay. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and open up the evidentiary hearing to see if there's anyone from the public that would like to speak and provide anything substantive to this matter. All right, being none, I'll go ahead and close the evidentiary hearing. Is there anything else from the city relating? Catherine, do you have anything?
Nope, just the correction to the density. Just want to make sure that's on the record.
Okay. And anything else from the applicant? I'm sorry, you just need to come up there.
We're just trying to do some adaptive reuse to provide more housing in the city, and it doesn't require us going for a LIHTC loan. It doesn't require us asking the city for any money, and we can provide some naturally affordable housing in a matter of months to help with our housing crisis. So we're excited about the opportunity, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you. And we may have some questions, but we'll see. All right, thanks. All right, it's over to us to discuss, and if you have any questions of the city or the applicant regarding the two different variances.
Regarding the maximum density allowable, I think substantial justice is achieved simply due to the fact that it is, workforce housing, a portion of it, rather, to, in my eyes, force the applicant not to use some of the units that are already existing because of existing code and density does not make a ton of sense. I think that it answers, at least on this particular variance, the 4 findings of fact that unnecessary hardship would result from it. And the conditions are peculiar to the property being the fact that it is an existing motel property. And that the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant as it is an existing structure. It's not being added on to. Those are my thoughts. I would move to approve the request on the basis the evidence provided meets the required findings of fact.
Is your motion also involving the open space? There's 2 variances.
Yes. Well, that was in particular to the first variance regarding the density, but I do feel that it satisfies the similar, or the same findings of fact for the other variance as well.
As a point of clarification for city staff, just so that we're sure that we've got the motion correct, is that with the condition that the units remain affordable?
Yes.
And just from the applicant, is the proposal for all of the units to remain affordable housing?
Naturally occurring affordable housing coupled with what the HUD high home rents are, we're not going to be looking for anything or able to achieve really rents that would be north of $1,100 a month for these units because they're studio units and 1-bedroom studio units. So they are naturally affordable housing, and market conditions for those will never rise above it. So we'll have the 10% set aside, and then we'll have the balance in all of them. I think the 10% set aside will be somewhere between $650 to $750, if I remember correctly from the chart, and then the other units would be a little bit higher, including your utilities, including everything. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you could call it affordable or workforce housing. That would be for the entire unit structure there.
But you'd be setting aside the required number for the
Correct.
15 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely, 110%.
It would be 10% for 15 years.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that was to clarify what I was referring to.
Could staff suggest the condition, should the board choose to grant a variance to the density, that the units above and beyond what's allowable pursuant to city code also be set aside as workforce housing?
I'm willing to consider staff's suggestion, and we can talk about it, assuming that's a feasible condition.
So is this requesting that instead of the 10%, the entire property be workforce housing?
Yes, sir. So that the units in excess of what would be allowed pursuant, there's already a density bonus for the workforce housing. So staff is requesting that any units above what's allowed by that bonus also be set aside as workforce housing.
So it wouldn't be all the units set
That is
aside?
correct. It'd be the 10% plus the ones that are above and beyond what that 10% would normally allow.
All
Well,
right.
so the 10% would be eight units. I think we should, if we're going to do that, we should set a specific number on the units.
Based on my calculations, that would be 23 units. So it'd be the 8 units for the 10% and then 15 units that are allowed above and beyond what that density bonus would allow.
That would, okay, that would, so 23 units is you're stating would be affordable for 15.
Yes, sir, for the
Set aside
period
for
set forth
workforce
in code.
All right.
And what is that period, if I may ask, for my own?
15 years.
15 years.
Oh, 15 years, I'm sorry. The number 15 had been bandied earlier, so thank you.
All right. Does, before we can ask the applicant about being in agreement with, we're going to take this in 2 phases, the unit, the density, and then the space. Can you come up and just see what your thoughts are? I mean, we can always make a recommendation, say this has to be, but it doesn't make sense
I mean, I
sometimes to not
think-
talk.
So with 76 units, 10% would be 7.6, round that up to 8 units. Getting to 23 units without taking a look at the hard math numbers to figure out how that would fluctuate. To be honest with you, I'm in agreement and support. We're happy to have some more locked-in units for sure, but I would like it to be a round number, something like that. Instead of like 23, could we do 20 as a number, since we're just going with percentages or total numbers? You know what I'm saying? Like if we could just lock in at a round number, that'd be great.
Can I ask a question? How many units are on the first floor, or like how many floors? You know,
So we
these are
have- we
20
have two-
units
yeah,
on the
we have
first floor.
2 floors, so we've got 76 units, so 76 divided by 2.
Okay.
38 and 38. So we'd basically be locking in almost a majority of almost the first floor, because we'd probably want to make sure as well that the potential residents who might have disabilities would probably fall into that affordable category, and we would want to make sure that they have ease of access getting in and out of their front door, so that would put them on their first floor. So I just want to make, and typically we would like to diversify and put those tenants throughout the project, so that way there's some spread, but with that much being larger and being almost all the entire first floor, that's what we'd probably end up having to do.
Would 20 be acceptable to staff?
Certainly, if that's the will of the board.
Proposal.
Yeah, we're good.
You want to amend your motion?
I'm not sure what I'm amending it to in terms of the actual number. Are we rounding it down, or is it just to 23? It's 20 units, okay. All right, well then I would, I guess, move to amend my motion to approve the request based on the evidence provided. It meets the required findings of fact, and that it would be increased to 20 units for workforce housing. This is specific to the density.
So, yeah, now we're just going to approach the density variance. So there's been a motion to approve, but with the restriction that 20 units would be affordable for 15 years.
I'll second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm opposed, but it passes. So let's move to the open space.
I kind of view the open space on the same set of criteria as I do the density of the existing building. I mean, it's there. They're making some efforts to add some additional open space, and you know, it may be a fact that if you start looking at value of the property and what the mitigation cost would be to get a waiver, this may be the only way to do it and keep it as affordable workforce housing. So. mean, I think unnecessary hardship would result, and the hardship certainly results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, and it did not result from actions taken by the applicant. And the request is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance as far as workforce, as it relates to workforce housing. So I would make a motion that we grant the open space variance based on the 4 findings of fact.
I would second that and congratulate the applicant for trying to make the effort there on improving the greenery.
All right. Yeah. Anybody have any questions before we, all right, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our other business, the Board of Adjustments Annual Report for 2025.
Grant wants to know where you got that picture of him.
Who stalked my LinkedIn?
Do you need to do a presentation on it, or we just accept it?
We don't, the
Okay.
report itself would be the
Perfect. So we can
presentation, but happy
You don't
to-
need anything from us on that. It's just, do you need us to approve it emotionally, or I didn't think so.
It doesn't sound so.
Yeah,
If you're
it's
fine with
paper.
it, we'll present it to the city clerk as is.
I would compliment it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, good job, yeah.
Thank you, Brian Chambers.
Oh, thank you. Good job, Brian. You want to do my companies? All right. Okay. Is there anything else for today?
Nothing further from staff.
All right. If there's no objection, we'll go ahead and adjourn. All right. Thank you.